and beans. Oh, jeez! Hello, people of the internet world. Today I have for you probably one of the cars that I am most obsessed with right now, and it is the 2022 Hyundai IONIQ 5. It is a 90s sci-fi future movie inspired car that you can actually buy. I mean, this thing looks like it's straight up out of RoboCop or Time Cop or The Fifth Element. I don't know, name some movies down below, but it's crazy with these little digital cube LED lights everywhere, and the styling is just unlike anything else out there on the market. Weird. So supposedly, this thing will tow 1,650 pounds, not without some modifications to this rear bumper and cardboard diffuser. Just as I suspected, this thing is essentially identical to the Kia EV6 on the underside, except the one I reviewed recently was only rear-wheel drive, where this one is all-wheel drive. Just like the Kia EV6, this utilizes a multi-link rear suspension. The knuckle and lower link control arm is made out of aluminum. It's got that weird plastic rubber little cup that holds a spring in. That's interesting. You can see the upper two links are fully boxed steel, and the lower one is just a stamped piece. It's kind of hollow and lightweight. The rear anti-sway bar on this thing's tiny for how heavy of a vehicle this is. Measures in at 16 millimeters. As much as I'd love to depanel this thing, I'm sure Hyundai wouldn't be too happy. I'd probably break half the pop clips. But there you can see the integrated drive module attached to that rear electric motor. And the subframe on this thing is made out of steel. You can get a better look at it from over here on the driver's side. You can see there's this big torque damper attached to the rear subframe back there to keep this thing from twisting under all the torque. This IONIQ 5 limited all-wheel drive model is the heaviest of the eGMP chassis cars, weighing in at 4,662 pounds. And as you can see, there's not much to see under here. It's just a giant flat skateboard with some plastic and hairy cardboard. For the vast majority of you watching right now that just went, what the hell's the eGMP and why do I even care? That is the chassis code for car nerds. It's kind of like when you go to the grocery store and buy fruit and it has a little sticker with a number on it, the PLU number. Well, most people don't give a shit that a banana is a 4011. They just want to chop it up, put in their Cheerios. But there are some banana aficionados out there that like to peel those stickers off and stick them on their naked body and dance to the Bananas in Pajamas song at night. Anyway, just like the Kia EV6, the whole bottom of the battery is protected with this kind of thick gray polycarbonate shell. There's also a ton of hardware all along the pinch weld that the battery, geez, that's thick. Listen to that, attaches to the unibody on. That's super rugged. By no means am I a linguist, but I do believe this is warning you not to like Ursula. And I mean, Ursula could be highly toxic for your life. You don't know how crazy she is. Anyway, back on subject, this has a McPherson strut style front suspension, a fully boxed steel lower control arm. And as you can see right there, there is a front axle because this one does have all-wheel drive dual motor. Front anti-sway bar is 22 millimeter. I would expect bigger for something that weighs more, but maybe because electric vehicles have the center of gravity so low, it doesn't require that extra torsional rigidity. I'm not an engineer, so I'm just gonna stick to measuring things. It's time for the braking test. No one behind me? Ready? Oh geez. Whoa! Oh, those are really good. Quite a bit of pedal feedback. Vibrated my foot a ton. Not bad though. Surprised for how heavy this thing is. That braking was just made possible thanks to a massive single pot front caliper and a set of 345 millimeter or 13.58 inch front rotors. The wheels, they're 20 by 8.5, and I absolutely love these. They have like this nice retro mesh design. The center cap's plastic and it hides the lug nuts. I feel like you don't see that too often on wheels anymore. The tires, they're 255 45 20-inch Michelin, because I just read the side of it when I was looking at the wheel. That's top-notch journalism right there. This is kind of crazy. The wheel arch moldings, like that. As far as the rear goes, it's still a single pot caliper. However, it's a different caliper than you got up front, and the diameter of the rotor, the wheel, and the tire, all the same. High five, bud. In the name of science, I am now gonna give this thing the E-beans. First, I must conduct a bolstering assessment. Yeah, it's got a little bit of bolstering, just enough to cup the back of your ribs. The seats are also ventilated, heated. However, there is no button physically in here to control it. You have to go into the menu system. There is, however, a little recliner piece. It's not really like a recliner. It's just a little piece that comes out and it touches the back of your calves. It's so nice. It's comfy. Drive mode wise, there is a little dial on the side of the steering wheel, kind of like you have the AMG knob in a Mercedes. You can press that in the center and go from eco to normal to sport, and the gauges change also. You can hold it down as well for snow mode since this is all-wheel drive. We'll disable traction control and let this thing eat. Ready? Go. Oh geez, it does have a little bit of a launch. Oh, that's awesome. It kind of sounds cool, like a little Jetsons mobile. That's good. This thing's quick. That's so fun. I want to do it again. That was at 96% battery also. Pop. Jeez. Hood struts. Ooh, it's got blue on the cover. Interesting. What does... Okay, it's got little vents. Under the hood of this IONIQ 5 is one of two permanent magnet synchronous electric motors. The EM07 lives up front and the EM17 in the rear. The rear electric motor is larger than the front one. Between the two electric motors, it has a total system combined output of 320 horsepower and 446 pound-feet of torque available at 0 RPM. And keep in mind, it's all-wheel drive. So if I open up this little front storage cubby, just like the Kia EV6 had, oh yeah, it's lit up too. And it's on hinges. I thought for sure you would lose this little storage cubby with the addition of the front electric motor, but I was wrong. So this thing opens rather trickily. There we go. Ta-da! There is the EM07. The front electric motor has an output of 74 kilowatts, which is equivalent to about 106 metric horsepower. I feel like we need to start really learning kilowatts as an output here in the United States, because horses aren't electric anymore, or ever were. Unicorns might have been. The rear electric motor you saw earlier has an output of 165 kilowatts, which is just over 220 horsepower. And there is a cabin air filter, I think. I love that this thing has two different colors of coolant. That's like such a vivid pink color. It's blue right next to the washer reservoir. Someone's gonna screw that up. I guess that's why they have the picture of this. He just looks kind of sad. That's just not a happy looking technician. As far as the ease of maintenance goes, if you just remove this plastic little storage bin assembly, it looks fairly simple to take out. You have tons of access all over the place to get to your driveline components up front. That's nice and easy to snap back in. Put my little rubber shield thingy back on. There you go. You see, just like an internal combustion engine vehicle, you got your brake master cylinder right there. It does have a traditional 12-volt battery for some of the accessories, as well as a fuse box right here. And that's interesting. It looks like an old school OBD1 diagnostic port. I find this a bit ridiculous though, that it still requires an emissions control label, even though it's electric and it runs on electric fuel. Legend has it that is the secretion from electric eels. Whoa! The active aero shutters are opening. That's neat. I didn't expect those to open up for me. I take off, I want to switch my drive mode into Eco, and I'm gonna put my regeneration all the way up to I pedal, which is the one pedal driving mode, and see how this feels. Oh, it's really heavy to depress the accelerator pedal, and it doesn't have, it lost the beans. I floored it and it wasn't like a surge of power. Okay, this is definitely an eco mode, that's for sure. I always like testing the different modes to see if there's actually a noticeable difference, because some cars, they have like different drive modes and it honestly feels the same in every mode. So far this, wow, yeah, you can actually let off the throttle and have it brake. It's not super aggressive on the braking when you let off the accelerator pedal. Now I want to switch it to normal. Oh, I just felt it like surge when I put it into normal. It's still an I pedal. I'm going to switch that down. Yep. I felt it kind of like release some tension when I put it into level 3. There's a noticeable difference. Oh, I'm going to put it in 2, in 1. It just feels, you can feel the resistance like let off when you do that. And level 0. And then it just coasts like a normal internal combustion engine vehicle. Actually, it coasts really nice. I'm picking up speed just on these little hills. Geez, this thing coasts super well. I cannot believe how good this car coasts. I haven't touched the accelerator pedal once. I keep picking up speed on all these little hills. And give it a little, oh yeah. When you put it in level 0, in normal, the beans come back. Ugh, I feel it in my gut. Oh geez. Well, that's good to see that there's actually a difference between the drive modes. Now, I'm gonna put it into sport. It doesn't do much for anything else other than your power. I don't feel brakes haven't changed. The steering feels a little bit heavier steering when I put it in sport. It's very subtle though. Yeah, this is, I'm kind of like lost for words right now. EVs are awesome when it comes to handling because of all that weight being down low. It's super noticeable. Oh geez. Woo! And beans. Oh jeez! It broke all 4 tires loose doing it around a corner. As far as charge times and range goes, I'm putting it on the screen here, and I will say I was pleased to find that this did come with a level 1 charge cable, unlike its sibling over at Kia.
Charging started.
What else do you say? As far as road noise goes, I'm hitting tons of tar snakes right now, and those are usually the loudest, especially on poor asphalt. It's fairly quiet in here. I know the microphone really amplifies it, but I'll tell you what, my butt is freezing right now from that ventilation. Oh wow, it's got little visors. This is actually a pretty nice back seat. It's got like this white denim on the back of these, and then look at the piping on the headrest. It's got little tiny squares in it. The ambient lighting in the back, and then on the speaker, and these vents. It's really nice, high quality looking little vent back here. It doesn't feel cheap either. 2 USBs, a little storage cubby. Oh, I think it reclines. Yep, it doesn't recline much though. Still reclines. Has a little square pattern on the door right there. The infotainment system on here, well, I love the look of the display. The menu system's a little confusing at times because you just have to reach to touch everything, and it is a bit of a reach. There's no real controls in the center. You just have the one to turn on your wireless charge pad. And then the climate control display down here is nice looking. I like it, and the fact they give you a physical knob for the volume and a little toggle for tuning stations. It's lacking a Hyundai badge in the center of the steering wheel, and I'm wondering if that's because eventually IONIQ is going to become its own brand, possibly. I thought that was weird. It's just 4 little squares there in the center of the steering wheel. Now, I personally have never reviewed any Tesla models. They don't offer new Teslas for review, so I don't really know how to rate it against any of those, but other EVs I have driven and reviewed on this channel or my other channel, I have to say it's a close tie between this, the Volkswagen ID4, and the Mustang Mach-E. I think they all bring something different and unique to the table, and they're all great in their own ways, and I would have a tough time choosing between those 3 vehicles. I think it really comes down to personal style, taste, and what you're going to be using the vehicle for. Personally, me, I would choose this. This is my favorite of the three. It's just a huge hot hatch. Love the styling. It's fun to drive. I think the ID4 kind of edged it out a little bit on the interior in some areas, especially the big charge bar that goes across the bottom of the windshield. I really like that in that vehicle. But I don't know. This definitely makes me happy for the future of electric vehicles, especially when they start making performance ones. Okay, time to give this thing some scores. If you guys never seen one of my reviews before, I have multiple categories to rate and assess them, starting with the coveted bean score. The assessment on a 1 to 5 scale based on the feeling you get in your gut when you give it the beans. And that 2022 Hyundai IONIQ 5 limited all-wheel drive is getting a rating of 2.2 e-beans. This thing is satisfyingly quick. Absolutely a blast to drive. And if they make an N version of one of these, dude, that's gonna be so hard for me to not want to buy one. Anyway, next is the cookie score. It's assessment on a 1 to 5 scale based on what you get for what you spend. And this car at about $55,000 is getting a rating of 3.4 cookies. It's really tough to assess value, I feel, right now because of inflation. So I'm just kind of like looking at other vehicles and what they cost. And I do feel this is good value with what you're getting in the mid 50s. It's pretty luxurious and the performance is outstanding. So yeah, not bad. Next is the mechanic score. It's assessment on a 1 to 5 scale based on how much of an ass pain something would be to work on, 1 being abysmal, 5 being excellent and simple. And this IONIQ 5 is getting a rating of 3.4 wrenches. I was surprised that adding the front electric motor on this platform, it didn't seem like it added too much complexity as far as maintenance goes. You just remove that plastic storage tray. I mean, the motor does kind of block access to where your steering rack and stuff is at in comparison to the EV6 that was rear wheel drive. But all in all, electric vehicles in general, I feel if you understand electrical principles and maintaining stuff like this, are fairly simple. Lastly though is the Penguin score. This assessment on a 1 to 5 scale based on how much I personally like something. And this car right here is getting a rating of 4.7 penguins. I really like the IONIQ 5 a lot, but I didn't give it a perfect 5 rating because there is the hope that an N version will come out, and that would be, well, I think you have an idea of where I'm headed with that. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this review, and I will see you soon with another. Bye!